Hey guys, it's Ames. Welcome back to my channel on one of my honest reviews, feelings on Loki, episode 3. Before we jump in, make sure to hit the subscribe button and the little dingy bell below so you never miss a video. Let's warp into this. I love when the intros of Marvel are so different and they just set the tone for the episode, and this one was awesome. Demons from Hayley Kiyoko. Any song that sounds like a late 80s, early Nintendo's video game, I'm so down. And if you know the lyrics to that song, please forgive me, I have demons in my head. We open up to such a cool scene. She's having some drinks with C20, who we now know is Sylvie Lushton, aka probably the Enchantress. Not to be confused with the DC Comics Enchantress. I know that is so confusing, but that's just how the cookie crumbles sometimes. It's like, okay, so she's using her telekinesis, so that's definitely like a Loki power. It was awesome because my whole thing before with how I felt like all these TVA workers were put in there and that they were all in these loops, it's seemingly coming true, and this is what is happening. So the timekeepers, trouble. Are we seeing Lady Loki, or are we seeing Sylvie Lushton, or is Marvel kind of just putting them together? We don't know. Would make sense if she is another branched timeline variant of Loki. We go through the time door and we're in the golden elevators, which is so rad because what did I tell ya? Loki got his knives back. He's walking to chase her and he's like, there's the locker. That's where my knives are. And we get some epic Loki knife action, and it was just, you guys, we all know that Renslayer is the long true love of Kang, so it's very interesting that she's the last one with the guards at the golden doors before they try to go up to the timekeepers. She is the antagonist, and I think that that's going to be the big reveal. Because in the other episode too, when Renslayer and Mobius are having that conversation and he's drinking his drink and he keeps putting his cup down, and there's all the rings. I just was like, that's such another loop. And the foreshadowing is heavy on her with the timekeepers in the foreground, and the one timekeeper definitely has the armor that is like Kang's. Is she there to keep everything in order? Because it is rumored that he is the big villain in Ant-Man 3 Quantumania. So Loki takes the TemPad and he royally screws them to an apocalyptic planet of Lamentus 1, which we've heard about before in the comics, which is on the edge of the Kree territory. Spoiler, I don't think Captain Marvel is going to be coming anytime soon to save them. They are in 2077. Obviously, Mobius is gonna come and save them. We get on the planet, we get some really cool fight scenes. As soon as Sylvie went in there and she started putting her hands on him, I was like, oh, the Enchantress! Oh yeah, they're in apocalyptic doom and they need to find a time source. So they smuggle themselves onto what is like a snow piercer train, high-speed train. Some good, really great moments in there. Some really good heart-to-hearts. It was such a beautiful conversation about love, and heavily talked about Loki's mother and how she doesn't know her mother or doesn't remember her, but it just seems like she learnt her magic from her mother, who was raised by witches. Frigga, the Asgardian queen. Enchantress is an Asgardian, so it'll be interesting to see how they blend all the timelines. I do not think that Sylvie is the bad guy in this. I think this is going to be pushing the story along. It's going to be really interesting to see, because I think I've already figured it out. We're getting to know Loki a little bit more. It's awesome that it's finally confirmed that Loki is bisexual, and it's really awesome to have that in a Marvel character. It represents such amazing things, and it's really good to have that. We're talking about the ones they've left behind. Loki's mother, his sadness, and an actual real love for her. Sylvie's mother and how she doesn't remember her. They're like a memory. If she is in fact Asgardian, it makes sense that her mother was someone like Frigga who learned from witches, stuff like that. And the actual literal moon that they're on that is collapsing. Even though they loving them is almost comes at a cost for these two characters. The way they have chosen songs for this show is so epic. We just see so much Loki mischief in this episode. Him bringing out all his tricks and his magic and all the things that he does. It was just so fun to see. The reason why I think I love this show so much is because it has such a sci-fi feel to it. It's Marvel, and yeah, that's like fantasy and action, but it's so sci-fi, from like Blade Runner, aliens. I just love it. And Dune. And I would say Dune, which I cannot wait to see. I think that in the other episode, when she says, "This isn't about you," I think that Loki, he doesn't realize that this isn't about him. Nothing actually, like, this has never been about him. What we've learned from Sylvie is when she went into the Hunter C20's mind was she was like, oh, she seems like these are memories from before, and they realize that these people were put there. The TVA is obviously there to make sure everybody, humans, earthlings, spacelings, everybody, stays on their track and nobody finds out about the multiverse. Because if people found out about the multiverse, there would be chaos and things would be crazy. This episode was definitely more to progress the story, more to set up Sylvie and her and Loki's relationship. Oh man, when they were running toward I can't remember what the spacecraft was called, to like flee Lamentus, there was that really epic little fight sequence when they both did like the same punch and kick and spin. I was like, oh, so cool. They're like in sync. Predictions? Ravonna Renslayer, she's keeping secrets. She's probably in on it with the new big bad meanie. When they find the timekeepers, is it just going to be an empty room? Or are they going to be like the old lizard gods? I think Mobius is going to come save them. How else are they going to get off Lamentus 1? They have no way out, so unless like the Rainbow Bridge somehow finds them, which doesn't have a hammer, so I don't know if it foreshadows to them falling in love. Maybe they're becoming friends. I think they're going to actually learn from each other and grow. All I know is Marvel. You know, I haven't read comic books in a really long time, and so I've been really heavily following the movies. But I feel like they're doing such a great job with the movies. And the storylines are so good. So even if they change it slightly or mesh characters together, I feel like everything's getting better. Not just these action movies. Like action, yeah, but we're getting these real, fully developed characters and exciting stories. And when they pull in these like amazing directors that have these creative visions and do some really cool stuff, like this show, every resource they've pulled from how they've done their set design and how they've pulled from inspiration from all these iconic sci-fi movies and shows is so, I'm just keep using the word epic, because it really is, and it's hard not to have that nostalgia and love for it because it just feels so good to watch. How cool does Lamentus 1 look? Like, what a cool looking planet, moon, whatever it is. This show is so awesome, and it was definitely like an elevation. It's kind of like The Mandalorian in a sense. Like just these epic views of these planets. It was just so cool. Yeah, maybe even some hints of Star Wars in there. I don't, like, obviously not Star Wars, but like just like the vibe, like when you get to see the layout of what a planet looks like, it's super cool. Be ready for some really amazing, probably cliffhanger next episode, episode 4, into like a huge reveal, episode 5, and then obviously episode 6 is going to be closing it out with probably a bit of a cliffhanger. So I just think some of the next movies coming out are going to be so amazing, and let's just see where this one goes. This ride's been fun. It's been really fun just like taking my knowledge. It's like, I know nothing. Just more my feel, my intuition. If you guys like my video, make sure to subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Ciao.